County Board of Supervisors
This
and
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, let me start again. I hereby call this joint meeting of the King George County Board of Supervisors and Public Service Authority to order. The following members are participating through electronic and remote means pursuant to the existence of the declared local emergency and Virginia Code Section 2.2-3708.2. I'm going to name the members. From the Board of Supervisors, we have Miss Annie Kupka participating. We have Mr. Jeffrey Stonehill participating. We have Mr. Richard Granger participating. We have Miss Kathy Bender participating. And we have Mr. T.C. Collins participating. From the King George Service Authority Board of Directors, we have Mr. Jim Morris participating. We have Mr. Alan Parker participating. We have Miss Kathy Bender participating. And we have Miss Annie Kupka participating. And if Miss Cleveland, if you're on the line. Okay, so I'm going to, let me see, I direct the clerk to include this, and I will direct the clerk to include this statement, the finding that due to inclement weather, winter weather conditions, it is impractical or unsafe for a quorum to be physically assembled to be memorialized in the minutes. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct lawful business as contemplated in the previously advertised meeting agendas for the Board of Supervisors and Public Service Authority, and to provide for continuity of operations by considering a proposed resolution to confirm the existence of a local emergency. And we will be doing that here in a little bit. Let me go ahead and call this meeting to order, and I'd ask Ms. Kupka to provide an invocation for us.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Heavenly Father, watch over us this evening as we make decisions for our community. Thank you for the promise that a new year brings. Please look out for our first responders and the linemen who are working around the clock to keep us safe and restore power to our community. In your name we pray. Amen.
If you could stand where you are, or if you can't, then that's fine, but let's go ahead and do a pledges of allegiance. Do we have a flag anywhere? We'll go ahead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. All right. So we're going to do I'm going to call for a nomination for the election of the chair of the Board of Supervisors. Do I have a nomination for the chairperson for the Board of Supervisors?
Mr. Miller?
Yes, ma'am.
As outgoing chair, I would like to nominate my vice chair from last year, Mr. Jeffrey Stonehill, and so move accordingly.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is that Mr. Granger?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any discussion, or is there any other further nominations? Hearing none, I will ask for a roll call vote. Ms. Bender?
Yay.
Mr. Collins?
Yay.
Mr. Granger?
Yay.
Ms. Kupka?
Aye.
Mr. Stonehill?
Aye.
Okay. Now I'm passing the gavel to you, or Miss Kupka is passing the gavel to you, I guess, in virtual reality. And you are now the chair, and the next order of business would be the nomination of the vice chair. So I'll turn that over to you, Mr. Stonehill.
Thank you guys for the opportunity to serve as chair. I do have some big shoes to fill from last year. So at this time, I would like to nominate Richard Granger from the James Madison District as vice chair.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins? Aye. Chair votes aye. Motion's carried. Now for nomination of clerk. I nominate Mr. Chris Miller for clerk.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Chair votes aye. Mr. Miller, you're the clerk. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Stonehill, did you call for a vote from everyone? I missed it if you did.
You're right. See, first time mess up. I'm sorry.
Okay. No,
I thought it was one of those. I thought it was one of those acclamation things.
I'm sorry. So yes, we had there was no discussion. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins? Aye. Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
You're welcome.
All right. Bylaws, adoption of the meeting schedule. So now we move on to the adoption of the meeting schedule for 2022, which I think we all got. Any questions on that or concern?
I don't have any concerns. I just know historically we've removed one meeting from July, and currently we're showing both. I'm amenable to that if the rest of the board is well, but I just make sure everyone is cognizant of that, and we all know that going in. There will be 2 meetings in July.
Well, how does the board say on that? I think we did the 3rd last year, correct?
I believe you're right.
Okay. What is the will of the board? Stay with 2, or do we have one on the 19th of July?
I would go with the 19th of July.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes.
I agree with my colleagues. I think it would be beneficial if we only had one meeting in July. And I do think also noting that July 5th, the day before, is a holiday, and it might be burdensome both the members and staff to conduct a meeting that week. So I agree. One meeting on the 19th would work for me as well.
I would agree as well.
Mr. Collins?
Whatever the will of the board is, I'm fine with.
Okay. So we'll move.
I move to adopt the schedule as presented in the package.
But we.
Friendly amendment?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. The as presented still had the 5th and the 19th, I believe. So we would want to just amend the motion. The schedule as presented with the deletion of the July 5th meeting.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I apologies. I would like to amend my motion to adopt the schedule as presented with the one modification to remove the meeting on July 5th.
Second.
We have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Moving on to the next. I guess Mrs. Lackey, you will talk to us about the bylaws.
Sure, there are proposed bylaws in the agenda package, and that version is the one that I am submitting for the board's consideration. It's largely similar to the bylaws from 2021. The most substantial changes are to reflect a written policy for electronic participation. However, the policy only applies when the circumstances are not as they are tonight, where we have a local declaration. The policy only applies if individual members less than a quorum request to participate. So I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions for Ms. Lackey?
Yes. Mr. Chair, I have several questions, and I have not had real access to any of my emails or documents the last 2 days, and I would ask to be able to ask those questions to Ms. Lackey in an email to wait till the next meeting to adopt the bylaws.
I agree.
Well, the email was sent out, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yes, I do understand that. I have not, I was visiting family for the holidays, and I can tell you my mother-in-law was not going to have me reading emails while I was there. So I'm just making that request so we could have more further time to ask the question, but if you vote, I will vote no.
Mr. Chair, could I ask a quick question?
Certainly.
I'm going to ask Ms. Lackey directly. Is there any concerns with us not adopting the bylaws at tonight's meeting and holding off until the next meeting, or is that an acceptable course of action?
Since the bylaws do have provisions as to public comment, I would recommend that the board consider just renewing the older set of bylaws on a temporary basis, or until such time as further changes might be proposed. But I would recommend that in some form or fashion you consider adopting bylaws.
Thank you. In that case, I am going to make a motion to adopt the bylaws that the board used during the 2021 cycle, and with the opportunity to modify them in the future.
Second.
We have a motion properly second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Collins?
I think it's acceptable to pass the on to the next meeting till everyone gets opportunity to discuss them and view them. Other boards have operated without those bylaws for periods of time, so I don't think that would be unacceptable not to operate for one meeting.
Okay, anyone else?
Mr. Stonehill?
Mr. Granger?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate Mr. Collins's point. I'm going to defer to Ms. Lackey's expertise in this matter, and if her recommendation is that we have some form of bylaws to move forward with, I am satisfied with the ones we had last year to at least carry us for the first meeting. And then, as she addressed, we could make modifications once everyone has an opportunity to ask questions, because it has been, I appreciate it has been challenging, especially the last couple of days. So I think we should move forward with the adoption and then move to make changes at the next meeting if that is desired.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Collins?
well, I'm not familiar with last year's bylaws, so I would have to be a no vote because I haven't even had an opportunity to see, I guess what you call the current bylaws of last year. So I wasn't on the board until January 1, and I didn't view the other bylaws when I was observing your meetings. Thank you.
Okay, I think we have a motion that was properly seconded. Mr. Granger, could you restate that motion?
Apologies. Yes, my motion was to adopt the bylaws that the board had used during the 2021 meeting cycle as they were.
Okay, and
So,
Mrs. Kupka was a second?
Yes. Yes, and I
Okay.
remain a second.
Okay, we had a properly second. All in favor?
aye.
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 Mrs. Bender?
I said aye.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay, chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Stonehill, apologies. I believe Mr. Collins had voiced his desire to not vote for them. I didn't hear that you asked for any who were in opposition, though, during the official vote.
You're right, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I thought Mr. Collins voted aye.
No, he didn't. He didn't vote.
I'm going to vote abstain.
All right, Mr. Collins, you're going to abstain?
That's correct.
Okay. So we have 4 ayes, 1 abstain. Okay, so that motion carries. Bylaws. Next on the agenda is appoint members to the King George County Service Authority Board of Directors.
Thanks. So I believe you have, Mr. Stonehill, there are 3 members that would be available. I believe Ms. Kupka and Ms. Bender are willing to continue on the Service Authority, so that would mean you have the other 3 that are on the board, Ms. Cleveland, Mr. Morris, and Mr. Parker. And so the representatives from those districts would then make their appointments.
I move to appoint Mr. Alan Parker to the Service Authority Board of Directors for the James Madison District.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a motion properly second. Any discussion? All in favor? Vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Not hearing. Chair votes aye. Motion carries for Mr. Parker. Hey, Mr. Miller?
Yes, sir.
Can you get somebody to turn the fire rescue radio down? That's feeding over everything.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll mute when I'm not on.
Okay. Should we just go and appoint all of them at once, or do we have to go one by one?
If I may, you could continue taking nominations and vote on a slate. That's completely up to your discretion.
Okay, well, I was just gonna, then, if each individual supervisor just wants to nominate theirs, we can just go on down that way.
Mr. Stonehill, do you want me to just make a motion to appoint the other 4 members? And we could just do one motion at one time?
That would probably be easier.
Sure. Then I would like to make a motion to appoint Ms. Kupka, Ms. Binder, Ms. Cleveland, and Mr. Morris to the Service Authority Board of Directors to serve along Mr. Parker, who's already been nominated and approved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Chair votes, or any in opposition? Not hearing, chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Stonehill, apologies again. I don't think the rest of the board had an opportunity to vote in favor of it. You only asked for opposition.
Oh, I thought they had. I thought people had chimed in. I'm sorry.
Did they? I apologize. I might have missed it. I apologize.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
I hear no opposition, and chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Collins?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Kerry Cleveland to the James Monroe District Water Authority.
I'm not going to second that, not because I disagree with Mr. Collins, but because we voted on the rest of the slate, which included Ms. Cleveland already.
Right, Mr. Collins, Mrs. Cleveland was in that slate.
I'm sorry, I only heard 3 in the slate: Ms. Binder, Ms. Kupka, and Mr. Parker. I didn't hear the other 2.
Yeah, Miss Cleveland and Mr. Morris were in there as well.
So all of them were up for vote at one time.
Yes,
yes,
that's
sir.
Correct.
Okay, I'll still vote yay. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I meant to do this at the very beginning, and I'm sorry that it's out of place. And you can consider it or not, but I do need to ask that the agenda be amended for you all to consider the revocation of my my declaration of the local emergency, and that for you all to consider your own. That should have been done earlier in the meeting before we did everything, but I assume, Kelly, this would be appropriate to do it here before they recess.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Ms. Kupka?
So we have in the past, with the prior county attorney, had this issue, if it needed to be addressed by the county attorney in the county attorney's report. And I do believe there is time, on the agenda today for county official report of county attorney. So at this point, we could allow her to address again.
Mr. Stonehill, may I also speak for a moment?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I would also just point out that on our official agenda, the amendments to the agenda does not occur until after the reconvening of the Board of Supervisors from the Service Authority Board meeting. So I don't believe we've even come to the point where officially in our agenda we should be addressing amendments to the agenda.
Perfect.
Correct.
Okay, well then we'll wait on that then.
Okay. So I guess we're going to go into recess right now for the a short recess for the King George Service Authority Board of Directors organizational regular meeting. Do we need a motion for that?
No,
If
sir.
you're
You just
yielding
you
to
can recess
if you're
it.
yielding to the service authority, then yes.
Okay, well, we're just then going to go into recess then.
Okay. So I'm going to call the meeting to get order for the Service Authority. We've already done the pledge and we've done the other, the invocation, so I'm not going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to I'm going to call for a nomination for the officers, and I'll start with the chair for the next year, and I'll turn this over to Ms. Kupka, who is the current chair of the King George Public Service Authority.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. As outgoing chair, I wish to nominate Mr. Jim Morris to serve as chairman for the 2022 year, and I so move accordingly.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and let's do a voice vote on that, and I'll record that. So I have Ms. Kupka.
Aye.
Mr. Parker.
Aye.
Miss Bender.
Aye.
Miss Cleveland, I don't know if you're able to join us yet. And Mr. Morris.
Aye.
All right. Well, Mr. Morris, congratulations, and I'm going to turn the meeting now over to you to do the rest of the items.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Thank you, Ms. Kupka, for the nomination. I now need a nomination for vice chair. I nominate Alan Parker for vice chair.
Second. Second.
Okay, have a motion second. Any discussion? Further nomination? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye. I guess Ms. Cleveland's still not online?
No, sir.
Okay. So motion's been passed with one absent. Next, we need a motion for a secretary treasurer. Typically, this would be Mr. Miller. Were you interested in continuing on that, or taking it over, or was Ms. Bender going to continue with that?
I'll do whatever is the preference of the board.
Okay. Then I'd like to nominate Mr. Miller to fill the position of secretary treasurer.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 I'm sorry, the last one, all I got was a squeal.
That was me, Ms. Kupka. It's aye.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kupka. And chair votes aye. Any nays? Motion carries. Okay, next we have to establish our meeting schedule for the 2022 year. Any motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer a motion.
Go ahead.
I move to adopt the meeting schedule calendar that was just previously adopted by the King George County Board of Supervisors.
Okay, and that's with July 5th deleted, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have a second on this motion?
Second.
Any discussion?
Do we need to add a start time to this motion?
I guess it couldn't hurt.
So I would amend it to start for the start time of 5:30.
Okay. So I have a motion that's been amended to include the start time of 6:30 p.m. I'm sorry,
p.m.
but 5:30 p.m. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and the chair votes aye. The motion's been carried with the for the 2022 meeting schedule as modified. Next topic is the adoption of the electronic participation policy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that if Ms. Lackey wants to just give a brief overview of that.
Yes, please.
Kelly, are you still on?
I am still on. I had lost the audio for just a moment. So if there was a question, if someone could ask it again, please.
I think they just is to give you to have you do an overview or just a little brief summary of the electronic participation policy for the board of directors of the service authority.
Sure. So during COVID, we operated under electronic meeting procedures that were authorized through the budget bill. There were also some changes to the provision that's on your screen of the Freedom of Information Act recently at the last special session of the General Assembly addressing electronic meetings. So now that we are no longer in any COVID-related disaster declarations, I've drafted a proposed electronic meeting policy that would not apply to circumstances where there is a declared emergency, such as tonight. This would be on any regular meeting day, and this is an optional provision, so you're not required to adopt it unless you do want to allow remote participation by board of directors members in appropriate circumstances. The appropriate circumstances are that you must have a physical quorum present. So that means you could have no more than 2 members participating at one time electronically. And the permissible reasons for participating electronically are either medical condition or disability. That would be a medical condition or disability of the board member or of a family member that they are a caretaker for. They would not have to, for privacy reasons, they would not have to disclose what the specific medical condition or disability is. And that participation is unlimited, except that the board would have to approve at the beginning of each meeting whether to allow someone to participate electronically. The second reason you could participate electronically would be if you have a personal reason, and personal reason could be any proposed personal reason. It could be a a business reason, family vacation, whatever, it has to be stated with specificity on the record. And again, like medical condition or disability, formally at the beginning of the meeting, the board would have to approve that person's remote participation. So those would be the possible reasons for allowing someone to participate electronically, and I'm available if there are any questions.
Thank you for that explanation. So do we have a motion?
I'll move to adopt the electronic participation policy for board members of the King George County Service Authority as provided by the county attorney.
Okay, second. Second. I'm sorry, I didn't miss that.
No, second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I will have to abstain. I do appreciate the reading it out loud. I have not been able to view it due to my lack of being able to read any document for the last several days.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Hey guys, this is Kerry. I'm on right now, and I'm having a lot of internet issues, and there was a document that came on my screen, but I wasn't able to look through it, so I do want to read that.
Okay.
Go back and put it on. Are you able to go back and put it on?
Chris, Chris Dines, can you?
I do, but
you
I
can
believe
put it back on.
Yes, this one I have on, I think, is for the, Jeff Voigt tells me that one's for the Board of Supervisors and not specifically for the Service Authority Board of Directors.
If I may, what I'm seeing on my screen is the Virginia code provision that allows but does not require electronic meetings. And so that statute is the basis for the policies that were proposed both for the Board of Supervisors and Board of Directors. So they track the state law provision, but I can certainly understand if there's any desire to defer that issue. It is optional, it does not have to be acted on tonight.
Mr. Chair, I would like that. As I stated in the Board of Supervisor meeting, I've not been able to look at any documents in the last 3 days. It's just nothing will download with the internet. So I would like to defer, if possible.
Okay.
This is Kerry. I'd like to defer.
Okay, I understood Ms. Cleveland said she'd like to defer. So we have a motion and a second. Let's call for a vote, and let's do it by roll, okay? Ms. Kupka?
Aye.
Okay. Ms. Bender?
Nay.
Okay. Mr. Parker?
Aye.
Ms. Cleveland?
Nay.
Okay. And the chair votes aye. So motion passes 3-2. Okay. Mr. Miller, do we have any amendments to the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Public comments, anybody online, or I guess nobody's there in person, but anybody online who wishes to speak?
I don't think so, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Report of the members of the board. Anybody have anything to report?
No report at this time, sir.
Thank you.
No report.
Thank you.
This is Kerry. No report.
Thank you, Ms. Cleveland.
No report.
Thank you. I just want to say, I noticed today our folks out running around, checking our systems and keeping everything running during this weather, and give them a big shout out for doing that and not letting the weather get in their way. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. We have a motion.
Motion to adopt the consent agenda is written.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. And the chair votes aye. Any objections? Motion carries. County Attorney, do you have anything additional for us this evening?
I don't have anything else to report other than I'll just in brief, if anyone has questions that they want to speak to me individually outside of the meeting about the electronic meeting policy, I'd be happy to answer them. It generally tracks what you all have been doing already. There haven't been major changes to the Virginia provision as to electronic meetings. The only change that's happened in the past year is that personal reasons used to be no more than a few meetings, and now it's tracked to 25% of the meetings in the calendar. But as I explained, that you have to have a physical quorum, so there is a kind of an inherent restriction on how many people can participate remotely just by the fact that you have to have 3 present physically.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other additional questions for? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to Mr. Miller and the General Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only thing that I would add is it's kind of following up on what you indicated, and we appreciate the support of the board. I will tell you that the issues that we're dealing with are primarily regarding the power, obviously, that other people are dealing with. The concerns that we have are to keep the wells and the pump stations going, and they're being serviced right now through generators. Like everybody else in the county, the ability to access fuel storage, especially diesel fuel for the generators, is an issue, a critical issue, because we are in line at the Sheetz and the Wawas and the gas stations just like everybody else, just like folks that are just filling up. So I'm going to probably bring in something to you in the near future that will discuss the idea of getting some kind of a skid tank that we could have at the service authority that would allow us to, in those kind of inclement weather events or other kind of emergency situations, we would have a supply that we could have just for our operations. On the fire and rescue side of the county, they are doing the same thing, and the Board of Supervisors adopted a capital project item that's going to allow us to construct a tank facility here at Station 1, which will allow their ability to access fuel in critical situations as well, and that would apply to the sheriff's office and those folks. So that's something that's very important. But again, we're facing the same thing that everybody else is facing. A lot of employees that aren't able to get in because of road situations or because of down power lines or trees. We're doing everything we can. We were able to get in. All of our wastewater plants are operating. We were able to get personnel in there, some as late as 4 o'clock last night into Fairview Beach. But there are no issues that are being reported at this time. other than, like I said, just wanting to make sure we got to top off our generators to keep those wells and those pump stations running in case we, are without power for a while. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Miller? Okay, hearing none. Motion for adjournment.
I'm confirming that it's the 18th is the next date, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. I can't see it. I make a motion to adjourn to January 18th, 2022 in the boardroom at 5:30 p.m.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Chair votes aye. Any nays? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Did I lose anybody?
Still here.
Okay. We are adjourned until January 18th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. Thank you.
Mr. Stonehill, are you still on?
He appears to not be in the list of individuals attending unless I'm missing it.
He might have fallen off.
It certainly is possible with everything going on.
Yeah, that looks like that's what happened. Maybe I'll give him a call, see if he's okay.
We have a caller 07. Is that by chance Mr. Stonehill?
I just lost power here again, and so I had to get reconnected.
Glad you made it back, sir.
Okay. I'm sorry. Where are we?
Service Authority just ended their meeting, and so it is ready for you to reconvene the Board of Supervisors meeting when you are ready, Mr. Stonehill.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to reconvene the organizational meeting of the Board of Supervisors. Mr. Miller, do we have any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, sir. We need to amend the agenda to take up consideration of the local declaration of emergency by the county administrator.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye. Motion carries. Amendments, public comment. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person in order to afford everyone an opportunity to speak. If comments relate to a specific public hearing, which I don't see, we ask you to offer those comments at the time of the public hearing. Anyone online?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Has any of the board members received any correspondence that need to be read?
No, sir.
Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to close public comment. Now to reports of members of the board. Mr. Collins.
I have no report.
All right. Mr. Granger?
Yes, sir. I'll be brief since it is a telepresence. I'd just like to say thank you to all those who are out in this to work through the situation with the storms, first responders. I'd like to say thank you to the Dominion crews, to the BDOT crews, the businesses that are still open, allowing us to get gas for people that need generators just to meet the needs of this community. So all those individuals who are continuing to work and serve this community, I really appreciate what they do. So thank you to all of those, and I'm sure I missed some people. I know the Service Authority as well as continuing run. I apologize. I wasn't thinking. Community Center as well, Mr. Clark. So many people are involved in just helping to make sure that this community is going to be safe, and so I appreciate their efforts. And the only other thing I would like to ask is, I know we had voted to approve the bylaws from last year, but I was just asking to see if we could add a agenda item at the next meeting to discuss the modifications that Ms. Lackey had proposed officially, so that we can, I guess, have a vote on it and see if we want to move forward with that, if you're amenable to that, Mr. Chair.
Yes, I have it in my notes to get with Mr. Miller about.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I have nothing else.
Mrs. Kupka.
I don't have a formal report. I just want to thank everyone. I reiterate Mr. Granger's comments. Thanks to everyone on staff, especially for quickly pulling together the warming station. Thanks for looking out for everyone in the community.
Thank you, Mrs. Bender.
Yeah, I would like to echo my colleagues and just add to it and say, for those out that actually can hear us and may or watch us, just look out for your neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have no report, but I'm just going to echo everybody else's. I mean, I've talked to the guys on the ground for Dominion and everything, and Northern Net Co-op. Spoke to those folks, and those poor guys are just running ragged. And I tell you, they're heroes the last couple of days. Also including the fire rescue and the sheriff's office. We had a meeting today, and online meeting, and those guys also have been really running ragged and really going the extra mile for the community. So I just wanted to thank all of them. So moving on, cassette agenda. We have a motion to approve.
I move to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion properly second. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye. Motion carries. Moving on, approval of minutes.
That's part of the consent agenda.
Yeah,
is it not?
Moving on to county officials report. I take it we don't have anybody online for county officials or constitutional officers. And moving on, report for the county attorney. Mrs. Lackey.
The only item I'd like to briefly present, as Mrs. Kupka mentioned, I guess is past practice when there's been a circumstance or a need to approve an administratively made emergency declaration. I guess typically the county attorneys commented on that. So you all should have received a little earlier this afternoon a proposed resolution that would confirm the existence of an emergency as of yesterday morning at 11 a.m. And then there is suggested to rescind the declaration 14 days. That's the maximum length of time that an administrative emergency declaration could be. But if anyone has any thoughts or inclinations on a different date and time to end, that could be considered when that item is before you all.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Lackey?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do have a question.
Mr. Bender?
Yes, is exactly what you read, Ms. Lackey, what it would state? I have not been able to read it. As I stated earlier, I can't read any emails that have been sent. So is it basically what you said?
Yes, it's very brief. It's a one pager. There's a few recitals, a few whereas clauses that just cite the existence of wintry conditions, the Virginia statutory authority for an administrative declaration, and then the actual declaration is to adopt what the county administrator did administratively to make the emergency effective yesterday morning at 11 a.m. And then just due to a need to have a time to have it rescinded, the second clause states that it will end if there's not subsequent action at 10:59 a.m. on the 17th.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mrs. Lackey, do we need to read this declaration, or can we adopt it as it?
It can be moved to be adopted as presented. If it's adopted, then it will go into the minutes and into the records as written.
Okay. Do we have a motion to declare the local emergency due to hazardous conditions?
I move to adopt the resolution to declare a local emergency due to hazardous conditions arising from inclement winter weather as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Anything else, Mrs. Lackey?
I have nothing else to report. Thank you.
Okay, 1-02, Boards, Commission, Agency Reports, Public Hearing. Excuse me just for a second, I gotta pull the rest of this up. Just hang with me for a second.
Could you hold on for a second, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely, I've lost everything. I'm just trying to get stuff to come back up.
Okay, Mr. Miller lost connection, so I want to get him back connected.
Hello? Hey,
I can hear you.
okay. So is everybody on?
I think so.
Not Mr.
I'm
Miller.
sorry, it just blipped here at station one, so it obviously affected Mr. Granger too. So do we have everybody back on board?
I believe everyone is here. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good, man.
I don't know where you guys are on it. I know we were considering. I think we were going to constitutional officers reports. That's when I lost you.
All right, Mr. Miller, we went on through that. Mrs. Lackey then gave us a brief on the declaration of emergency. That
Sure.
was moved and approved.
Okay.
So right now we're at 0102 Board Commission Agency reports.
So let me just clarify for my purposes, the local declaration, the resolution that Kelly put together, I think runs it through the 17th of January. Is that correct?
Yes, 11 p.m.
Okay. All right.
Do we have any board commission reports? Presentation and reports, I don't see. Action items, appointment of board members to area boards and commissions. Does anyone have any?
I think we need to look at all of those, correct? I'm sorry, is that our boards, the board members that we serve on, for instance, like the Comrel or the Northern Neck Tourism Commission, or think along those lines? Are we talking about the ones where, like the library board or Board of Zoning Appeals?
I don't know. I'm trying to bring here and look. All right, here it is. Appointment of board members to area boards and commissions. I would take that that's ours.
Correct, that is ours.
Okay.
So in our packet, we have a number of available, which are the ones in particular we would need to probably absolutely discuss. And then if anyone has anything they want to say, I apologize, Mr. Stonehill, I don't mean to step on your toes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go right ahead, Mr. Granger, because I'm trying to get everything reloaded and
okay. Up. So I imagine this could be a little difficult since we're all tele-attending. And so I guess we'll just have to do the best we can. But it would be a matter of reappointing all the board members to the different boards and commissions that we serve on. And in particular, we probably need to figure out the ones that are labeled as available in our packet, which I believe are the James Monroe District ones in particular, which Mr. Collins is welcome to take on if he would like, or if there's a desire to discuss if someone wants to drop a possible board or commission or would like to pick up one that is, and see if someone would be willing to let them take it. So I think that's maybe where we're at.
I'd be more than happy to take up the James Monroe District previous appointments. But my understanding is that this has been previously discussed by the board members, and I wasn't privy to those discussions. So the other boards and commissions I'd have to abstain from because I don't have the same information that everyone else has.
Are you talking about the ones where people are already filled in for names?
Yes.
So those are boards and commissions that people currently serve on. I don't think it was that people necessarily discussed it without you, Mr. Collins. I think it's more that it was just carrying those over and showing who currently serves in those positions. They don't have to stay as is. We as a board can make a decision to make changes to it as we see fit. But I think it's just for the ease, so everyone understands, hey, these were the individuals who were filling into those roles previously. But at this moment, everything is available, and it's at the board's will to decide which commissions and boards are filled by whom. And if I'm speaking out of turn, anyone, Ms. Kupka, Ms. Binder, Mr. Stonehill, please feel free to correct me.
No, I think that you summed it up quite well. I'm just not sure. I forgot from last year how we went ahead. Did we go through each one and reappoint everyone, or is it just the open ones for Bush?
I don't remember what we did exactly last year, but it might not be bad to just run through the list and see if the people who are currently in that position are amenable to serving, or if there's someone who'd really like that position, since it's difficult without all being together. That's just my 2 cents, and as you're the chair, I don't it is your decision on how you want to run it, but I'll leave it to you and my colleagues to decide what you think is the best way to handle it.
I mean, it's fine if we go through them one by one. I did get them all loaded up here, and I can read them off to Mrs. Kupka, Mr. and Mrs. Bender, who I guess they might not be able to see them, but we can go through and see if everyone is good with their positions or and that's amenable to everybody when we can just go through each one.
I'm fine with that. I'll let my colleagues. I feel like I'm dominating the conversation. I apologize, but if anyone else has a different take, please feel free to say so.
Anyone with another idea?
That works for me.
Okay. First on our list, Dowry Museum Board, Mrs. Bender.
I'm fine staying on there.
I'm talking.
Mr. Stonehill, would you like us to make motions for the appointment to each one individually as we go along?
Sure.
Okay. Then I'll make a motion to appoint Ms. Kathy Bender as the Dalgrand Museum Board representative.
Second.
A motion. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
And I hear no opposition. Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Fredericksburg Regional Alliance. I guess that is Mr. Granger as primary and I'm alternate.
I'm amenable to continuing to serve in that role.
I'm okay serving as alternate unless somebody wants that this year. And I hear none. So do I have a motion to reappoint Mr. Granger to Fredericksburg Regional Alliance and Mr. Stonehill as an alternate?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All right, I have a motion seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 I only heard two people.
I'll say aye again if you didn't hear.
Kind of breaking up. Mrs. Kupka?
Aye.
Ms. Bender?
I think she said
Mrs.
aye
Bender?
earlier.
Okay, yeah, I just, Mr. Granger, you were an aye.
Aye, yes, sir.
Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries on that. FCC Military Affairs Council. That was Mr. Bush, so that's available for somebody. Mr. Granger, actually, I'm not quite sure what that is.
I'm not as familiar with the FCC Military Affairs Council either. I know I never served on that board. I didn't ask Mr. Bush about it before he rolled off of the board about the specifics of that board, so I apologize.
Okay, maybe. Anybody have any interest in picking that up?
I would do it.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
I move to appoint Mr. Collins to the FCC Military Affairs Council.
Second.
I have a motion properly second. All in favor, or any discussion? Hearing none, in favor, say aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Okay. Everyone voted aye. Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Next, GWRC, George Washington Regional Commission, and that is Mika and Mrs. Bender.
I'd like to continue to serve on that.
Ms.
I
Kupka,
can
are you
continue
available?
to serve as well.
Okay.
Yes,
Ms.
I
Kupka?
can continue to serve as well.
Then I will make a motion to appoint Ms. Kupka and Ms. Binder to the George Washington Regional Commission.
Second.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Okay, chair votes aye. Motion passes. Let's see. Liaison with King George Fire Rescue and Emergency Services, and that is open. Anyone want to pick that up?
I'd like to pick that up.
I
Right.
too would be interested in that.
So we have two people who are interested in that position?
Yes, I'm just making a note here. Okay, we have Mr. Collins interested and Ms. Kupka. Do we have a motion on that?
So I appreciate both the members being willing to serve on that position. I know it is available because Mr. Bush stepped down from that position. I know that both Mr. Collins and Ms. Kupka have law enforcement experience, and so it kind of folds nicely in regards to that idea of liaison. I'm going to defer to our senior member, and I'm going to make a motion to appoint Ms. Kupka to the liaison with KG Fire Rescue and Emergency Services.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote aye.
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 Any opposition?
Okay.
Mrs. Bender?
I believe we've lost Ms. Binder. I don't see her on the list of attendees.
Mr. Dines, do you know if I guess she's gone?
It looks like that happened. I'll try to see if I can text her.
Perhaps we could wait a moment and see if she comes back.
Yes.
In the moment in between, could we ask Ms. Lackey maybe if Ms. Binder is unavailable? I imagine we can continue to move forward, and it would still require a 3-1 vote to approve any of these, if that is the situation. But just to verify my understanding.
Yes, if I may, Mr. Granger, your understanding is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll give her here and see if Mr. Dines can get her back online.
I believe she's back online, Mr. Stonehill. Ms. Bender?
Sorry, my connection went out.
A lot of that. So, Mrs. Where we are, we have a motion to appoint Mrs. Kupka to the liaison with fire rescue. And we have it properly seconded with no discussion. And we are at a vote right now.
Okay.
So, all in favor, we're voting aye. Or
Aye.
And up.
Aye.
I'll say nay.
Okay. And chair votes aye. So motion passes. Mrs. Kupka, okay. Moving on. Northern Neck Tourism Committee. I'm currently on that right now, but we haven't met in over a year, possibly a year and a half, and I don't know what they're doing with that commission at all. I can stay on that unless somebody is interested in jumping on that one. So
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Jeff Stonehill to the Northern Neck Tourism Commission.
I'll second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Okay, chair votes aye. Motion passes. Moving along, NSWC Comrail, Community Relations Council. Currently, we have Mr. Granger as primary, and we have an alternate which is available.
I would like to continue to serve as the Comrail representative. And I will say, I do know from an alternate perspective, if anyone is interested, it's really always invited to all the meetings. They're quarterly, and they're in the different districts. So they occur in King George, they occur in Colonial Beach, up in Waldorf, and then in Indian Head. So those are the 4 locations that they happen regularly. And the King George one is hosted by us, and so usually the representative gives a little opening for that. And if that individual is unavailable, then it would be the alternate in that situation. So it's not a particularly heavy lift from the alternate perspective if someone wants to take that on.
Anybody want to get on that as an alternate?
If there isn't an alternate, we can always find one later. I intend to be at all those meetings, so I'm not overly concerned if there isn't one.
Okay, very good. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to reappoint Richard Granger as the primary to NSWC Comrail.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Been seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Next, Potomac Watershed Roundtable. Currently, I am on that and Mrs. Binder as an alternate. It's never met since I've been on it. Mrs. Binder, have you ever been on it?
No, and I'd be willing if somebody would like to be the alternate. I'll give that up.
Okay.
I'll take the alternate.
All right, Mr. Granger, alternate. I would like to remain on it if it ever comes back. But we'll see. Like I said, it hasn't met in the 2 years that I've been on it, so we'll see. So can we get a motion?
I'll move to appoint Mr. Jeffrey Stonehill, the primary for Potomac Watershed Roundtable, and Mr. Richard Granger, the alternate.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion properly second. Any discussion? None here, none heard. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. RAA Board of Directors. Currently, we have Mrs. Binder serving.
Yes, I would like to continue on that. It just probably needs to be clarified. It is now called Healthy Generations.
Healthy Generations.
I move to appoint Ms. Kathy Binder to the Healthy Generations Board of Directors.
Second.
We have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Okay, chair votes aye. Motion carries. Rappahannock Juvenile Detention Center Commission. Right now we have Mrs. Hahn on there. Mr. Miller, do you know by chance if she's going to stay on that?
She's not indicated that she doesn't want to do it, so I would recommend that you continue to put her on there. With the finance involvement, it's very important.
Do we need to reappoint her? I apologize. I haven't even been looking at the expires. It shows that it doesn't expire until 2024.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, right.
I haven't looked at it because we've actually appointed for a couple of these that show for later expiration dates. I apologize for having missed that.
If I may, prior boards can't bind the current board, so
okay.
It's up to the board if they want to honor those dates or not.
Okay, I apologize. Thank you, Ms. Lackey. In that case, I will make a motion to appoint Ms. Donna Hahn to the Rappahannock Juvenile Detention Center Commission.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
All right, chair votes aye. Motion carries. River Basin, currently I am on that, and I would like to remain on that.
I would move to appoint Mr. Jeff Stonehill to the Rappahannock River Basin Commission.
Second.
We have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Jail board. Right now, we have Mrs. Kupka, Sheriff Giles, and Mr. Miller. I take it all those folks are going to stay on it?
Mr. Chairman, yes, I'd like to continue to serve.
Mr. Miller?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sure Sheriff Giles will also. So do we have a motion on that?
I would make a motion. I'll make a motion to appoint Ms. Annie Kupka, Mr. Chris Giles, and Mr. Christopher Miller to the Regional Jail Board Commission.
Second.
We have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Social Service Board. Right now we have Mrs. Kupka.
Mr. Chairman, I picked that board up after Mr. Bush resigned over the summer, and I would like to continue to serve.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move to appoint Ms. Annie Kupka to the Social Services Board.
Second. You keep beating me, Richard.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Do we have a second?
Ms. Bender seconded
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, you all talked over each other. Okay, we have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. King George County Local Emergency Planning Committee. Currently, it is me on that, and I would like to continue on that.
I move to appoint Mr. Jeffrey Stonehill to the King George County Local Emergency Planning Committee.
Second.
The motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes.
I believe we skipped YMCA Board of Directors and Fanpo.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Okay. So we go back to YMCA Board of Directors. Right now we have Mrs. Kupka on.
I would be happy to continue serving in that capacity.
Very good. Do we have a motion?
I move to appoint Ms. Annie Kupka to the YMCA Board of Directors.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Fanpo, I guess, Fredericksburg Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. So right now we have one available spot and Mrs. Bender.
Yes, I can continue on with that just for anybody who would like to come on. It is a non-voting slot.
Mr. Chairman, may I also add something?
Yes.
So also just to clarify, because I had resigned last week from that board due to a scheduling conflict with the Social Services Board meeting. It is the third Monday of each month. Right now, the meetings are starting at 6 p.m. for now, not 8 p.m. as it stated, because the GWRC meeting was moved to the fourth Monday of the month. So for anyone interested, it is the third Monday of the month at 6 p.m. typically.
Okay.
So
Anybody?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Stonehill.
Go ahead, Mr. Granger.
I was just going to ask, I know we have 2 available slots, but it's non-voting members. I know Ms. Kupka said she has a conflict. I'll serve if we desire to have 2 people there, but as non-voting members, and I've heard about these meetings that they can be, I don't know what the right word is, difficult maybe. I don't know if 2 representatives really adds a whole lot more than 1, but if someone wants to go, I'm not opposed to it. Or if the board thinks that we really need to have 2 there, then I would be willing to serve in that position as well.
I have a question. Mrs. Binder or Mrs. Kupka, wasn't there some talk at some point about becoming a voting member on that?
Yes, and actually they took a look at it, and because we do not a population of 50,000 or more, we are not able to become part of the Metropolitan Planning Organization formally, which is why we would be continuing on in a non-voting capacity.
Okay, thank you. Anybody interested to jump on that as well, or do we just go ahead and have Mrs. Binder be our rep? Don't hear anything, so do we have a motion?
I move to appoint Miss Kathy Binder to the Fredericksburg Area Metropolitan Planning Organization.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Mrs. Binder. All right, LEPC. Workforce Elected Official Consortium Board. Right now we have Mr. Granger.
I'm amenable to continue in that capacity.
Okay, very good. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to reappoint Mr. Richard Granger to the Bay Workforce Elected Officials Consortium.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Granger. BOC Emergency Operations Center Liaison. Right now, I am on that. We've only met once so far. I would like to remain on that with Mrs. Binder as an alternate.
Works for me.
I would move to appoint Mr. Jeff Stonehill as the primary and Ms. Kathy Binder as the alternate to the Board of the Emergency Operations Center Liaison.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. Coalition of High Growth Communities. Right now, Mrs. Bender is on that.
I would like to serve, but I also would like Mr. Miller to check into that to see if we still need to or want to be a member of that group. Because when I met with that group during VACO, it didn't seem like it was very useful for us. And it does require a membership fee every year.
So for the
Okay,
time being, you're amenable to being appointed, Ms. Bender, and then we'll look into that? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to appoint Ms. Kathy Bender to the Coalition of High Growth Communities.
Second.
We have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. Mr. Miller, can you make a note to check on that, please?
Yes, sir.
Next is Rappahannock Area Alcohol Safety Action Program Policy Board, RAASAP. Right now we have Commonwealth's Attorney Gussman on there. I take it she's going to stay on that, and do we need to appoint her to that position?
I believe the answer is yes. We'll need to reappoint her to that position.
All right, she's going to be
So I'll make a motion to appoint Ms. Kerry Gussman to the Rappahannock Area Alcohol Safety Action Program Policy Board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion properly seconded, and any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Complete Census Count Committee. Right now, Mr. Granger is on that.
So I'll certainly serve again. I don't really think this is probably necessary because this was to deal with the census, which actually has completed at this point. So if you want to make a motion to reappoint me just to have bases covered, that's fine. But I think it's run its course.
So do we just need to, how do we get removed from that or get rid of that committee?
It's just our own local committee. It was a committee to help set up and get the word out about the census in order to make sure that every person was counted from a local perspective, because obviously, as you know, there's an advantage to having every person counted from the means of money being available from state and federal avenues. So it was just making sure that we got every person counted. And so it's not an outside organization that we're dealing with. It's just our own internal people. Mr. Chris Clark was the lead of that in particular.
So I guess, can we just, to clean this up, can we just strike that committee out of here?
I'm amenable to that. I don't know if Mr. Miller has a different opinion, or I think Chris Clark was on as well before. I'm not sure if he's still on or not, and if you want to speak to that.
Mr. Miller?
Yeah, I don't know if Clark's still on. Typically, like Mr. Granger indicated, these are these committees that they want to get, to advocate, to get people to fill out the census, and as Mr. Granger indicated, it does have an impact on the kind of federal dollars that you get. I would think that we could, it could be a committee that we continue to monitor, and you could have a representative on the board. I'll be happy to look into where we stand with it, if it needs to be, continued as an active committee, or if it's just something that you have and in 5 years or 6 years or 7 years when they win this again, you'll want to be active again. So I can do some more research on it if you want to hold off, or if you want to just go ahead and have Mr. Granger get appointed to it, then whatever you want to do.
I'm amenable to serving again, and if we just want to make the appointment, we can run this around later. And if we can want to dissolve that committee, we can certainly do that at a later date. And so if we just want to move on, I'm fine with being reappointed for the moment.
All right, very good. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to reappoint Mr. Richard Granger to the Complete Census Count Committee.
Second.
We have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Your vote. Motion carries. Cigarette Tax Committee. Currently, we have Jeff Stonehill, Chris Miller, Judy Hart, Chris Giles, and Kelly Lackey. I guess that committee should just stay as is. If I take it, all those folks will be on that. So do we have a motion for that?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Jeff Stonehill, Mr. Chris Miller, Ms. Judy Hart, Mr. Christopher Giles, and Ms. Kelly Lackey to the Cigarette Tax Committee.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Courthouse Oversight Committee. Currently, we have Judge Hewitt, Rebecca Connor, Vic Mason, Kerry Gussman, Lieutenant Ron Govan, Kathy Binder, and Mr. Quisenberry. I take it all those folks are going to stay on that? And if so, do we have a motion?
I move to appoint Mr. Herbert Hewitt, Ms. Rebecca Connor, Mr. Vic Mason, Ms. Kerry Gussman, Lieutenant Ron Govan, Ms. Kathy Binder, and Mr. Travis Quisenberry to the Courthouse Oversight Committee.
Second.
Properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Commonwealth of, oh, I'm sorry, wait, I'm jumping again. Redistricting Committee. Currently, we have Lori Gump, Kelly Lackey, Annie Kupka, Kyle Conboy, David Burge, and Chris Miller. I take it all those folks will stay on that. So do we have a motion for that?
I move to appoint Ms. Lori Gump, Ms. Kelly Lackey, Ms. Annie Kupka, Mr. Kyle Conboy, Mr. David Burge, and Mr. Christopher Miller to the Redistricting Committee.
Second.
All right, we have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Mrs. Bender, are you still there?
Yeah. Did you hear aye?
Okay, no, I did not. I'm sorry. Okay. Motion carried. Commonwealth of Virginia Department of Environmental Quality Site Suitability Regulatory Advisory Panel. Currently, we have Mrs. Binder there.
Mr. Chair, that board it's on the list, but it is not a county appointed board. It was appointed by DEQ in the governor's office.
Okay, so is that something that we do not, I guess, appoint at a
Not-
county level for you?
Yes,
Okay, so you're just going to remain on that?
correct.
Okay, not. Staff members or citizens serving on area boards and commissions. Currently, right now, Northern Neck Tourism Commission, we have Kimberly Wilson.
I would recommend you reappoint. I would recommend you reappoint her if that requires it.
Citizens, staff members, okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Ms. Kimberly Wilson to the Northern Neck Tourism Commission.
Second.
Motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Congressional District Broadband Task Force. Also, we have Ms. Wilson on there, so I guess she'll remain on that. Do we have a motion?
I move to appoint Ms. Kimberly Wilson to the Congressional District Broadband Task Force.
Second.
I have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Bay Consortium Workforce Development Board, which is vacant.
So, Mr. Gandy, I had served on that board. I'll run to ground with Mr. Minor if he might be willing to serve in that position. I apologize, I didn't think to reach out to him before this meeting, but I can reach out to him, see if he will, and then at the next meeting, if he is, I can make an appointment at that point if everyone is amenable to that.
I would think if I could just amend, or if I could add a friendly suggestion, I think he does need to be on that board and serve as a staff representative. I don't know that it needs to have his approval or disapproval. I think that's something that if you're on there as the liaison to the county board, then the staff needs to have our economic development director in there, or his representative, which would be Ms. Wilson. So I would just go ahead and say whoever fills that position in economic development would have that responsibility to staff that board.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I think that seems reasonable as well.
Okay, so I guess we're just going to go ahead and appoint.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Nick Minor to the Bay Consortium Workforce Development Board.
Second.
I have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins? Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Gotcha. Chair votes aye. Motion carries. VACO Economic Development and Planning Steering Committee. Ms. Wilson.
I move to appoint Ms. Kimberly Wilson to the VACO Economic Development and Planning Steering Committee.
Second.
We have a motion seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Fanpo Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Right now we have Mr. Clark.
I move to appoint Mr. Chris Clark to the Fanpo Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. I think that's it. I think on our boards, and then the other ones are just the BZA, RRA Board of Directors. I guess we just need to fill those. I do have one appointment to, we can hold off on that. Folks, if you can look at this list also and see if you have any people that you can fill these holes with, and I guess we can then try to fill those in at a later meeting.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's it. There's commission reports. And I think that's all we have. Get back here.
I apologize if I missed it. Did we have the county administrator's report? I think that was my fault. I think I might have jumped us ahead to the appointments, and I apologize if I did that.
Let me just get
I don't know,
back
Mr.
here.
Miller.
Mr. Miller, do you have? Mr. Miller, do you have a report?
Yes, I do. I've got about 15 items, if that's all right. I'm kidding you. Actually, I just want to say congratulations to Mr. Stonehill and Mr. Granger for their appointments, and for everybody, Mr. Collins and Ms. Bender for their new terms, or Mr. Collins' first term. But and I do want to say this, that I know that we will arrange something at the next meeting when we're actually all physically present. But I do know that there'll be something to provide to Ms. Kupka for her service as chair during the last year. And I know I only got 6 months with her, but she was a very good chair, a very strong leader, and I know that Mr. Stonehill will do a great job too. I really just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to serve you as your county administrator, and all of you. Look forward to working with Mr. Collins and to you all again during this next fiscal year. And I will say this as one item, I too echo the thanks and appreciation to everybody who has been a part of this winter storm response. The fire and rescue team is outstanding, and I think you already knew that. Chief Moody has done a great job of leading them, and all the members of their team. Very difficult conditions. I know, as Chief Moody had indicated, one of the firefighters in Fairview Beach tried to get up the hill, ended up having to walk back at 4 a.m, I believe, to back to station in Fairview Beach. Just the service level there's such a high service level and dedication there. Sheriff's office, outstanding as well. I echo the comments made in regards to the efforts of Chris Clark and Jonathan Franklin and their team, that they were able to quickly assemble to staff the shelters, or the shelter. We are going to keep it open through till at least 6 p.m. tomorrow night, and we may extend it based on what the situation is. Obviously, we're going to encounter some warming experiences with the temperature in the next day, but we know that there is some weather in the future here. So much of what we're doing every moment here on a daily basis with this storm and the response is driven by the power and the conditions of the roads. And as you may know, we have a EOC in effect, and we are meeting on a regular basis twice a day and providing updates getting updates from the electrical companies as well as VDOT, the school systems, and some of our other agencies. And so we're looking to open tomorrow. You may have seen the King George alert. We're looking to open the offices up at 12 tomorrow, but that could change in the morning based on what goes on overnight. It's my understanding that some of the other jurisdictions, Stafford and Spotsy, have already indicated that they're closed for tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes, but right now that's our plan, is to have the administrative offices open at 12 tomorrow. But again, this was a very difficult and challenging meeting that we had, and I think that everybody participating on this in the background, my staff, and all of you members of the board of supervisors and members of the board of the directors of the service authority are to be commended, because doing a virtual meeting is very challenging. So good job, and that's all I have. If there's any questions about anything, let me know, and we look forward to seeing you guys in person.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller. And yes, I have some big boots to fill. Sorry for the getting tongue-tied and trying to get this all done on a electronic meeting as well, but I will hopefully smooth things out. And then on the roads, Mr. Miller, I know I was out quite a bit today on the secondary, or the side roads and stuff. And I know personally my two roads getting out to the main road, if you're not in a four-wheel drive vehicle, there's no way you're getting in and out unless VDOT gets to them. So they're still pretty rough. Right.
Yeah, you're right, and that's what we've assessed that as well. But I know that they've upgraded all the roads to the best level they can be right now, that they had issues with. Caledon is still a real problem, obviously, and so they're continuing to work on that. I think one of the things that we heard tonight, that hopefully any folks on Northern Neck, it's my understanding that they were down to like 1,700 members that are still without power. They indicated they thought that they were making good progress. Northwest portion of the county, Stafford line and just over into that area, really bad, pretty significant damage up there. And that's kind of driving some of their numbers and some of their estimates. So I think they indicated that Chief, was it the 6th is when they updated their outage map to show outages through the 6th of January. So hopefully no one on this call is going to be waiting until the 6th, but let us know if you hear things. We'll pass on as much information as we can, and we appreciate your service out there and how you all are able to get information and feed it to us, and then we can get it back to you. So that's the most important thing on a storm response, is just information. And we've really tried to do our messaging. We've tried to make sure that we're very unified in that. We didn't want to have a bunch of KG alerts that were sending out multiple closing dates or multiple opening times and things like that. We wanted it to be very focused so that, you know, the citizens aren't confused. And so the team here at the Fire and Rescue has done a great job, Steve Lind and Chief Moody, in terms of putting out a real clear and concise statement about what's the current conditions.
Thank you. With all that said and done, do we have a motion?
I move to adjourn until January 18th at 6:30 p.m. in the boardroom.
Second.
Get a motion properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Collins?
Aye. Good night. Thank you.
Chair votes aye. This meeting is hereby adjourned to the next regular scheduled meeting on January 18th at 6:30. That meeting may be held electronic means and remote participation only and may be closed to the public being physically present. All citizens are encouraged to participate in advance or during the meeting by electronic means as provided by the county. We are adjourned.